State regime media known as Fox was freaking out on live TV last night. Laura Ingraham had this epiphany. Oh my God, what if Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans get destroyed in the midterms and 2028? We're screwed. Here, watch this stunning admission. Play this clip.
Now, is there more for him to do? Is everything perfect? Of course not. There are real challenges that await. Of course, winning the midterms, 2028 race, critical. Otherwise, this cycle of investigations and impeachment is going to begin anew. But if Trump stays on course, he will be remembered as one of the greatest presidents of all time.
So then she had a rebound after making that confession live on air. So she brings on this like ridiculous, bizarre guest, and they start to talk about how like the new animatronic Trump in Disney looks a lot better than the prior one. It's a very bizarre segment. I'm only going to show you a small portion. North Korea may be accepting job applications from these two. Play this clip.
This new Trump is actually a big upgrade from the first term. Look at how he looked in the first term. My Lord, they said he looked like Hillary Clinton. And this is actually the third iteration of this animatronic. And they've really made some progress, Laura.
So then Laura Ingraham realizes, oh crap. Was I mean to Donald Trump there? Maybe I'm going to have to change my tactics right now on air. So here she says the following. She goes, you know what? Just surround yourself with really smart people, Donald, and everything's going to be okay. Here, watch this.
It turns out that if you surround yourself with a team of really smart people who work all of the time, you can actually accomplish a lot. Remember, people underestimated Lincoln, FDR. And if a president delivers results, though, they'll go down in history as a great president. If he doesn't, he won't.
She brings on Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Always good to have Kevin O'Leary on and get his take on things. He's the Canadian who said that he wanted to see Canada sold to the United States. That tells you everything about him. So then Kevin O'Leary tries to attack Zoran Mondami, the New York City mayoral candidate who Fox is absolutely obsessed about. And O'Leary, this is like the biggest non sequitur if I have ever heard one. O'Leary's like, on the one hand in New York, you have the Statue of Liberty. On the other hand, you have Mondami. Just think about that. What the hell are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
I have a different kind of view of this. I go like I'm a history guy. I did well in history, not so good in math, but pretty good in history coming up through high school. So imagine the imagery of the Statue of Liberty. The number one export of America for decades, hundreds of years, has been the American dream. It's never been anything else. It's not energy. It's not technology. And to see that as that image of the Statue of Liberty, can you imagine now sailing up the Hudson into the American nightmare? Look, I don't want to get into politics.
And then they like bring their coverage to an area that's beyond parody, except it's real. So they bring on someone who's identified as, it's not funny that they're a survivor of Mao's revolution. That's serious. But they bring on a survivor of Mao's revolution to attack Zoran Mondami. This is what the oligarchy looks like when they are cornered. Play this clip.
That's the place I came from. I shopped in the government-owned grocery store. And what it is like? Long line, ration, and empty shelf. And I lived in a government-granted housing. My family of 5 had 1.5 room, and we were lucky because we share bathroom with 4 other families. Others, they have an outhouse.
What was that? And then you have Stephen Miller go on. Like, this is not a news network. You have Stephen Miller there on Hannity as they have this on the side screen. They call it One Big Beautiful Bill. And then they just like misrepresent all of the things in the bill. And then you have Stephen Miller's like, I'm sick and tired of everybody talking about this bill in the wrong way. I'm very sick and tired of it. These are all clown human beings. Play this clip.
I am sick and tired of the lies about this bill that have been perpetrated by opportunists who are trying to make a name for themselves. This is the most conservative bill in my lifetime.
How did we get these freaking people? These are evil weirdos. Sorry, no offense to evil weirdos. Maybe offense to them. Then you have Tom Homan, who gives Barney Rubble a very bad name. The border czar, unappointed idiot. He comes on Fox, and the Fox host is like, all right, Tom. Hey, Tom, CNN, they crossed the line, didn't they? So CNN did a report. They reported on an app that is used to detect when ICE is coming into certain communities. So CNN reported that this app exists. So then Fox spent a lot of their coverage saying, oh, you're going to prosecute CNN, right? Are you going to go and throw them in jail? Watch this.
Tom, they've crossed the line here. This is out of control.
I know, it's just simply disgusting, and any network that covers that is disgusting as well. So I'm hoping DOJ steps in there and see if they cross that line of impeding federal law enforcement officers. Look, Lawrence, you're not talking about this. Assaults against ICE is up over 500%. Now you got an app that's going to tell where ICE operations are going to be. It's only a matter of time before ICE agents are ambushed by some nut, like what happened in LA, throwing a Molotov cocktail, throwing bricks at these officers. This is just disgusting at every level. So I hope DOJ dives in this deeply, because, you know, ICE is concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This shouldn't be an issue anybody is against. So they're already a dangerous job going after the worst of the worst. These guys are putting their lives on the line every day going after the worst and worst in the national security threat. And this app makes it that much more dangerous. It's incredible that those who enforce law, all of a sudden they're the bad guys. When they break the law, they're victims. It's disgusting.
And then you had Pam Bondi on Hannity talking about how happy they were that they just sued Governor Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Play this clip.
And as I mentioned before, we also sued last week Governor Walz in Minnesota for tuition for illegal aliens. You can't do that. Once again, these governors, these states are prioritizing illegal aliens over our students. They're treating our students like second-class citizens, and the Trump administration is not going to put up with it. It ends, and it ends now.
And by the way, while she was bragging about suing Governor Walz, he was spending the day at the funeral of State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman, who were assassinated by a MAGA-loving assassin fanatic guy in Minnesota. Trump never called up, never expressed his condolences. All he did was call Governor Walz a whack job, because the MAGA movement has zero empathy as well. By the way, I'm not going to read them to you, but if you read the comments to Governor Walz's post on Twitter, now X, that says "Goodbye, my friend," which shows him in front of the casket of former Representative Hortman. The comments are all like, you did this to her. You're the killer. You did. It's all these like right-wing conspiracies of people who show zero empathy to the situation. So speaking of having zero empathy, then you have Harrison Faulkner on Fox. Now she says, and she lists a number of Jewish Democratic Congress members. And then she says that these Jewish Democratic Congress members are traitors to their faith, are not real Jews. So she is telling Jews that you're not real Jews if you support Mondami. Really? That's what you're saying? Here, play this clip.
Here's why I think this is an interesting look into his campaign. He was unknown as of 6 months or a year ago, right? He is a new candidate who has tapped into energy and concerns about cost of living, things that you mentioned. He has repeatedly said he abhors anti-Semitism. Increasing anti-hate crime funding by 800%, that's real. That will help in New York. And don't take my word for it. Prominent Jewish New Yorkers, Jerry Nadler, Brad Lander, they have said they have endorsed him.
You're talking politicians who want their party to be in office,
but they're Jewish, but Harris,
of anything that they believe in.
That's not true.
I mean,
are you questioning Jerry Nadler or Brad Lander's commitment to Judaism?
100%.
Wow.
Yes.
I wouldn't question anyone's commitment to their faith.
The same way that I would question Chuck Schumer, who works against the interest of his own people at times for the politics.
Let me
and
finish
that's what they're doing here.
What I'm saying here. Prominent Jewish New Yorkers have said they have met with him. They believe that he abhors anti-Semitism and will help New York do better.
I mean, the stuff they're saying, in my opinion, is blatantly anti-Semitic, actually anti-Semitic, saying you're not real Jews. What are you talking about? You know, and it is xenophobic and Islamophobic. This stuff is repulsive to see this, but that's state regime media for you. Speaking about repulsive, you then have MAGA Republican Senator from Kansas, Roger Marshall, who talks about getting rid of people on Medicaid. And he's like, you know, what we're really focusing on here is all of these people who commit fraud. It's all these people who are getting back surgeries fraudulently. What are you talking about? Play this clip.
You got 70 million that are on the program. You guys should be able to cut a lot of waste in this, but it seems like there's been some, even Republicans, that are resistant to do that. Why?
Yeah, I mean, a couple points I just have to make, Lawrence. You know, number one is there's 7 million healthy American men out there, working age, that are not working. I'd love to help them find a job. Second point is this. We're actually increasing funding for Medicaid. We're increasing funding for Medicaid higher than the rate of inflation. We're going to increase it to the tune of $200 billion a year when this is all said and done. So when they talk about people not being on Medicaid anymore, half of those people are on it because of fraud or some type of abuse of the system. The other half is because they're unwilling to work 20 hours a week. And you can volunteer. You can go to school. We want to help you find a job. A job brings dignity. It brings purpose. We're all about people finding a great way to live that American dream that President Trump talks about.
Yeah, well, my mom and dad, they preach religiously in our household. A man that doesn't work doesn't eat, Senator. And I think there's a lot of Americans out there that came from that same school of thought.
Look, you know where the fraud, waste, and abuse comes from in Medicaid? Corporations like the ones run by MAGA Republican Senator Rick Scott when he used to be in business that fraudulently billed Medicaid for services that were not provided. That's where the fraud is. And that's criminally prosecuted often. That's where you look. Individuals, what able-bodied individual is like, you know what I really need? I need Medicaid because I just love getting back surgeries. Yeah, I love doing triple bypass surgery. What are you talking about? People are just trying to live. But that's their sick dystopian worldview on things. Speaking of that, here's Tom Homan talking about how Abrego Garcia, who is now back in Tennessee, and they're federally prosecuting him there. And Abrego was like, you know what? I'm going to allow me to stay in prison, even though I should be released. And the judge said he could be released because if he gets released, ICE is going to throw him back in El Salvador or throw him to another concentration camp. So even Abrego's like, I'm going to stay in prison. I'd rather stay in prison than be released for my own protection. And then Thomas Homan, this Homan guy, this border czar is like, we're going to throw him out one way or another. You're going out of here. Here, play this clip.
I want to get you to weigh in on another story. So a judge has decided to delay Abrego Garcia's release from a Tennessee jail over deportation concerns. Not because he's a public safety risk, not because he beat his wife, not because he trafficked people across the border, not because people died in vans because of his trafficking, but because they don't want the guy to be deported. Should a judge be doing this?
Absolutely not. It's just another disgusting story. This judge is telling us, I don't want you to abide by the federal court order issued by 2 different federal judges that this person needs to be deported. So he's basically tells us, ignore the orders issued by 2 federal judges. I'm going to make my own independent, radical decision. Again, DOJ's on top of this. We got a great AG in Pam Bondi. I think they'll take this fight all the way. Bottom line is, there's no place in this country for this man. He needs to be sent home.
It's unbelievable that the judges now become these activists right now. If they want to be activists, they can take the robe off. Any of the judges that I work for in juvenile court, they would never tolerate this type of behavior.
Okay, there's something called due process, by the way. Due process. And finally here, they hate due process. Why don't you just say, there'll be a court proceeding, we'll go through due process, because in America, we're a nation of laws, and then we'll see what the outcome is. Then you have Pam Bondi again on Hannity, and here she talks about basically prosecuting CNN. Here, play the clip.
You know, we've had Tom Homan on many times on the program, and he's talked about a dramatic increase in violence against ICE agents.
Yes.
Over 450%. I mean, really scary numbers. If you have or put out an application or a warning system that ICE agents are in the area, are you guilty of obstruction? Are you guilty of aiding and abetting in that case? And by the way, if you're a sanctuary state, does that status aid and abet just the very status of it?
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. And people obviously are ICE agents, all of our federal agents who are working hand in hand on these task forces, our federal agents from the Justice Department could be injured. He's giving a message to criminals where our federal officers are, and he cannot do that. And we are looking at it. We are looking at him, and he better watch out, because that's not a protected speech. That is threatening the lives of our law enforcement officers throughout this country. And shame on CNN. I just saw that for the first time when you showed it, that they're promoting that app. That's shame on them for doing that. That could hurt our law enforcement officers who are out there protecting them, protecting all of us every single day.
There you have it, folks. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.